we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado. This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
I always fuck up names, so I want to make sure I get it right.
Oh, you do?
I do.
I thought I was the name botcher.
I can always get at least the first letter right, but usually it goes off the rails after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not good with names at all. Like, I've met some people, and like recognize their face. I'm like, oh, hi, how's it going? And then I'll wait for somebody else to say their name. So,
well, especially when you meet
like
a bunch of folks at the exact same time, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it's like, oh, how am I gonna remember 13 new people's names?
Right.
And then what they do and everything. I think I could remember what they do more than the names.
I don't know. That's where you gotta pair like certain characteristics or what they do. It's like, oh, it's Jake the racing guy, right? Or
okay, I see.
However that works, right? So you're like, oh, his name starts with a J, he does racing. Can tie this together.
Right.
How long have you been doing racing now?
A year and 3/4, maybe, almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting into it for sure. So yeah, let's as our viewers and listeners dial in here, we got Jake Allegra here sitting down with us, the Racing Dad podcast, father of 4. That's going to be some busy stuff that we're going to get into. But so I'm a huge race fan, Jake, just come out of the gate. I do host a podcast called Mash the Gas, which covers NASCAR. I love it, man. I love racing. I've been around it my whole life, but I don't have a lot of experience on 2 wheels. So I'm going to rely on you here to kind of walk our viewers through on how this works. And let's start with, how did you get into racing?
Mm-hmm. So I kind of grew up around it. My dad was a local racer in California, and we'd be going to the racetrack, every other weekend.
Bikes as well. Did he do the bikes too?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, motorcycle racer.
Okay, motorcycles. Yeah. Okay.
And we kind of always watched MotoGP on the weekends and stuff like that. And then I didn't get into racing until 2021. During the pandemic, 2020, right, we're on shutdown, nothing to do. My brother calls me up. He says he's like, "Hey, let's go to the track day." And I was like, "What's a track day?" And he's like, "You can take your motorcycle on the racetrack." I was like, "You can do that?" Like, okay. And so we went to a track day. I fell in love. I was like, why do I even bother riding on the street when I can just go to the racetrack and go as fast as I can?
Yeah.
And then a guy approached me in June 2020, and he was like, "Hey, I seen you out there riding." He's like, "I have a race team, and I'd like you to join." And so I joined his race team, and then basically fast tracked my race career. He kind of gave me that confidence of being like, "Hey, you might be good at this." And so I dedicated all my time to it. Like every weekend I was at the track. And then this year, 2022, I made my pro debut.
That's super exciting.
I spent 27 weekends last year at the racetrack. And
wow,
that was a lot of time.
That's exciting. That's super exciting. That honestly, when I kind of look at my racing and how I got into it, Jeff Gordon, the story with him goes back to, here's a guy that came from open wheel. He was out there running laps. And Rick Hendrick happened to be standing in the racetrack at the time and said, "Man, this guy's got something." So it sounds like kind of a similar story here, when there were some scouts at the track, guys that were looking for guys to have on the race team, and you're out there turning laps, out on this racetrack, and they're like, "This guy might be, let's bring him on board. Let's get him on the team."
Yeah. At that point, I had only been like to 4 track days. And then after that, this gentleman and his wife approached me. I was like, okay. And then I had my dad come behind me. He's like, "Yeah, dude, like, just do it. And, if you don't want to do it anymore, you just stop." Right. And so I was like, nope, like, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it 100%. And luckily, like the work I do allows me to take 27 weekends out of the year to go do it. And
Nice.
my family allowed me to do that because that was actually the hardest part about it. Was
That's super exciting. So what was one of the most memorable tracks that you've raced on?
this year was Laguna Seca. So I got to race twice this year, which was amazing.
Where is that one at?
In Monterey, California.
Oh, okay. So it's like mainly Cali races. Like, have you went like kind of national with it? Like went on any tours or like raced in other areas?
I went in March. I went to Georgia. That was my pro debut. Which that was a fun track. It was
I bet.
It's super elevation. Like there's like 4 different hills that are like a 12% grade, just like really steep. I think at one point in the track, they have a back straightaway that's like a quarter mile, maybe a little more. And I'm just in 6th gear going as fast as I can, just redlining it. And there was still more straightaway. So I was like sitting there going 100, I think the bike I was riding could go 153 miles an hour. And then it goes into a 90-degree turn. And then after that 90-degree, there's a left 90-degree and then a right. And then you crest this hill and then it was immediately like this. So you were cresting a hill, wheeling down into another 90. It was a fun track.
That's pretty intense. You're carrying that much speed into, a 90-degree left or right hanger. That's a lot, especially when you're pegged out, hitting the rev limiter. And so are you running, we were kind of, looking through some of the bikes that you've been running, Kawasaki, Ducati. What are you bringing to the racetracks?
So last year I ran a Ninja 400, a Kawasaki Ninja 400, and then a Ducati Hypermotard 950 SP, which is like I like to say it's a glorified dirt bike. Really, I mean, if you look at it, it looks kind of like a dirt bike. But this year I'll be running a Yamaha R6 and a Ducati Monster 1200. So, kind of switching it up, getting on a little bit faster bikes.
Have you done a lot of dirt biking and like all the off-road stuff too? Like, is that where you started, or did you always start like with the street bikes?
I rode dirt bikes just like to get around. Like I grew up in the country, and like I would ride my dirt bike to my friend's house, but I never rode, I never raced. And as of now, I ride dirt bikes to train, especially when it's this weather outside. And yeah, it's a great training tool because all riding kind of translates over. You use each skill set in each different type of riding.
Sure. Yeah, repetition is the mother of skill, of course. And so when you're going into track prep, right, when you're maybe approaching a new course like Laguna Seca, we played that in racing games for a long time. It's an epic track for sure. Is there like racing simulation that goes into the preparation? Do you just get out there and do practice laps, live action? How do you tackle the track and improve your lap times?
So basically, if I'm going to a track that I haven't been to, I will hop on that video game to get a layout and memorize the turns, count the turns,
breaking points.
It's hard to learn breaking points on a video game, but somewhat. I just kind of get a flow for it with the video game first before I even arrive. And then I do a lot of video study of like races beforehand, especially with like the bigger bikes, the leader bikes. I watch them because, they're going the fastest on that track, and it kind of teaches you where to brake and stuff. And then it's like the arrival to the track. Now I get to walk the track. I get to feel it. I get to see what's actually out there. And then it's practice. And then,
so would you say that they're pretty accurate? Like when they put these tracks together and like the background scenery and all that stuff. So when you're actually there, you're like, okay, like it does look familiar to the video game, how that looked.
I would say for Laguna Seca, yeah. Like, so
okay.
The most famous turn it's the corkscrew. And in the video game, you come down it's a left-hander into a right-hander that's really steep. And if you look straight after the left, there's like 4 trees lined up. And those 4 trees are in the video game, like perfectly placed. And it's actually a braking marker and turning point. So
okay, so it's like when you see the 4 trees, it's time to slow her
you
down a
kind
little
of
bit.
line your front wheel up with the second tree, you know.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that's what's great about track study. Like because there's so much that goes into it with film study and all that kind of stuff. Watching where these guys are lifting, corner entry. Again, I don't have a lot of experience on 2 wheels. I'm not a great rider on 2 wheels. I'm more of a 4-wheel guy. But I mean, racing etiquette is all the same, right? So a lot of the same preparation goes into it. What's crazy about what the racing you guys do is you're getting so low in the corner that your knee is almost scraping the ground. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thrilling feel. Like,
Oh, I bet.
I put my knee on the ground and then I lift my knee off the ground because I'm like, I don't want my body to continuously drag on the ground. But
I mean, you have to have some big ass pads, right?
yeah, I mean, we have like these plastic knee sliders, like really hard plastic. But I feel the ground to know how far I am. I kind of use that as a tool to let me know what kind of lean angle I'm at. And so I don't push it too far. And I mean, and some pro racers will actually put their body on the ground. And if they low side, give them a chance to pick themselves back up off the ground. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I don't know if you know who Mark Marquez is, but he's like the master at doing it.
Yeah, I've heard the name for sure. I mean, a lot of respect for 2-wheel racing, man. That takes some cojones to put your knee on the ground, to carry that much speed through the corner, at any moment. And I was listening to one of your videos. You talked about, crashing, what it's like to crash. So you didn't know you were crashing until you're already off the bike. And I think that's any racer is going to always deal with that, right? At what point are you going to wreck? Because it's not a matter of, if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. It's just a part of the sport of racing. So what was that like?
It's actually, so the way I wrecked was actually kind of like fun in a way, but like also not fun because I lost the race. The few instances that I did crash, I crashed out of first place. So,
oh man,
but like as I look back,
that has to. I mean, that hurts like your pride more than I'm sure you're to hurt your body too. But it's just one of those things where like you're right there. I mean, I only know from playing Mario Kart and stuff, so
it's not a fair comparison.
Not the same level that
Mario
you got.
Kart's not real life.
Not the same level you got going on.
I mean, me and my wife have been playing Mario Kart lately, and you know how it gets heated out there. First place, man. But it's a crazy sensation because it happens like that, and you're like, you just slide forever. And at the end of it, you're just like, brush yourself off, pick your bike up, and keep going. But it's weird because you can start to feel it, and like your body gets so like elevated, like you can feel like this weightlessness almost when the bike gives out, and then for just a split second, you're like still
floating.
Yeah. It's a crazy.
That's interesting.
It's a crazy thing.
So do you like drink a lot of milk or like have a diet with a lot of calcium to build up that bone strength just in case if you get into an accident?
No.
Yeah. So have you broken a bone? Not even just in racing, but just in general. Like have you broken a bone?
Oh yeah, I've broken everything but my femur.
Everything but your femur.
Yeah.
So the whole kitchen sink, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I was a skateboarder, so I mean that came with a lot of broken bones. And
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, luckily I haven't broken anything racing.
That's good.
That's
good. I used to try to skateboard. Like I could ollie into like a board slide or something. Like I could kind of grind. I only landed a couple kick flips and I was better at heel flipping and I broke my clavicle skateboarding. So I feel you on that. What kind of level did you get to? Like in skating?
Skateboarding?
Because I was not good. I was not that good.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
I want to say I wasn't that good, and it's kind of funny you said that you're better at heel. I was way better at heel flipping than I was kick flipping.
Oh, you too, huh? Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why.
For some reason, my foot didn't want to go out; it wanted to go in, and I got pretty good at it. But I wouldn't say I was like kind of any kind of amateur, like to get recognized. But
It was like more of a mode of transportation back then, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a gang of skaters where I grew up at. Like we just rode around town and terrorized everything, So
get all mad at like the no skateboarding sign. You're like, why the fuck does this sign exist? You're like getting all pissed off at it.
Yeah, right. Or we would cut off like the little knobbies on the concrete ledges and stuff like that because we'd like, this is a perfect ledge to skate.
Yeah, you're like, they can't stop us.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
And, I broke my arm, when I was like 18 years old, and that was the last time. I was like, I'm never hopping on a board again after this one.
Oh, really? That was it? You were like, nope, no more of this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I broke my arm in half. Like, it was like folded that way, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Oh man.
Damn.
I don't like that. I just don't like when
gnarly.
the body goes in unnatural ways. Even people who are like have the extra joints and stuff, just seeing like the body contort like that, it's just sometimes you're just like, I don't know. It's like looking at a spider to me. Like some spiders just give me the gooblies. Is that a thing?
Gooblies?
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I guess gooblies is a thing, but when you're messing around with extreme sports like that, I mean, these are where those injuries happen. Mm-hmm. You're seeing bones sticking out of, femurs slashing, sticking out of the meat. It's not pleasant. And that's why I was always like, no, this isn't for me. It's like skateboarding and shit like that. I love racing though, man. I love getting out there live action, but I'm a 4-wheel guy. Like I said earlier, 2 wheels, I've just never been real good at other than my bicycle. And even that was questionable.
Yeah. I mean, I love it all. I love any kind of motorsport. You put me in a car, I'll drive that car. But
hell yeah, brother.
Motorcycles are where my heart at. So
no, that's cool, man. That's exciting. So what's the 23 schedule looking like? Are you where are you guys gonna be racing?
So I start off in Daytona in March.
Hell yeah.
So we get to do the Daytona 200. I'm actually really excited because I missed it last year. But I'm like super excited to get on that track, legendary track. Everybody, when you say Daytona, everybody knows what you're talking about,
Oh yeah,
you bet.
I'm excited to get on that track on the bike. I'm going to ride for 2023. And then after Daytona, we're up in Washington at the Ridge. It's kind of a newer track, but it's in the middle of a forest, beautiful scenery. Very technical track I'm looking forward to. And then we're back to Laguna Seca in April. And then we finish the year October in Texas at the Circuit of the Americas.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you if COTA was on the circuit, because I do plan on visiting that track, not only for NASCAR F1, but that's cool. If you're going to be racing down there, I might have to make a visit because I love COTA. I'm glad that they've incorporated that circuit here. It's a fun racetrack. NASCAR is going to be running there. Obviously F1 and then, seeing some motorcycle race down there would be super cool. But kicking off in Daytona, the Daytona 200. So obviously it's going to be the Daytona road course. How many laps is that? So if we're looking at 200, I'm assuming it's a 200 miler, right? Or is it 200 laps?
No, 200. 200. I was curious. I was actually thinking about that the other day because isn't it the Daytona 500 is the whole oval, right?
Yeah, the Daytona 500 is the whole oval, which is 500 miles, but it's only 200 laps because it's a 2.5 mile oval.
Right. So it's definitely not 200 laps.
Yeah, you're right. So 200 miles. And the Daytona road course, I'm not sure what the mileage is on that. I've played it a few times. It's obviously legendary among some of like the 24-hour races that we have at Daytona, the Rolex 24. I'm assuming that's going to be that same circuit. It's a fun racetrack for sure. I spent some time on Gran Turismo 7. It's a good track.
I mean, so do you do the same stuff, like putting more fuel in or petrol, and then also like changing out tires and stuff like that all happens? Because I haven't watched too many motorcycle races.
So Moto America, which is the series that I run with, they will be incorporating a required pit stop for this year at Daytona for the super sport class.
Okay.
Which I'm like on the fence on and participating in, but
Okay.
They will do like a required pit stop, but normally there's not really any kind of pit stop in the middle of a race. Each class has different lap amount of laps, and then there's also like a whole different rules for each class, and it's
and you do multiple classes. You race in multiple classes.
Yeah. So I race.
Okay.
I will race in 2 classes this year. I raced in 2 classes last year, but so this hat is Roland Sands design. He sponsors a class. It's called the Roland Sands Super Hooligan, and it's basically your dad's bike out on the racetrack.
Okay. So what would a dad's bike be like? Like an older Honda, or like what is it?
Yeah, something like that. Something like a naked bike. It doesn't have any fairings. It doesn't look like a race bike. It's
okay. It's like a street riding bike. Like a cruiser bike.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the class is like Indian FTR 1200s. You got KTM 890 Dukes. This year, like I'm running the Ducati Monster. And there will be, a couple other classes out there that we'll be running with.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, it is. And so that's kind of like the lower tier class, and then the higher tier, the Daytona race and some of this touring stuff. What are the kind of the specs requirements for the race, and some of the rules and regulations that apply to that tier?
To the Super Hooligans?
To that, and just kind of some of the differences between those 2 classes.
So Super Hooligans is much heavier bikes. They're about 420 pounds minimum.
Or 420. That's the weight. Is that a weight requirement, or is that like a minimum weight requirement?
Minimum weight requirement. So,
got it.
In the world of racing, you want to be as light as possible, right?
Of course.
So they kind of balance that out with the 420 pounds, because some of these bikes are pretty fast compared to the super sport, where it's highly regulated. There are a lot of restrictions and costs on parts. So, it's a very extensive rule book to where, you can only spend a certain amount of money on a certain amount of certain parts. So, like my Yamaha R6, I have 2 different brake master cylinders, because one doesn't meet the requirement because it was too expensive. And another one that does.
They're like, you got to. It's the supercharged, but not too supercharged. Like they're like, they don't want it all. So what's the lightest weight bike that's out there racing?
So in super sport, there is a weight minimum as well, but it's way less than 420 pounds. I think, I haven't weighed my Yamaha R6 right now, but if I had to guess, it's probably around 330 pounds wet.
Okay.
So, you're almost looking at 100-pound difference.
So you could basically have like a forward lineman weighing as much as your bike.
Yeah.
In that one. Okay.
Power to weight ratio, baby. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy because, the differences between the classes, and how the Super Hooligans class, only has like a 4 or 5 regulations, and it's the weight requirement. It's OEM starting horsepower on the bike. So, and then you have to have your number plates on the bike. And, that's kind of basically it. Everything else is like free game, like you can change whatever you want on the bike. You just
see
gotta
that's fun.
these things. Yeah, no, it's a really fun.
You seem like you're the type of guy that wants to like spend 4 hours on a Saturday in the garage tweaking the bike a little bit. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's where I spend most of my time. I mean, I'm either changing
Guilty
something.
as charged.
Huh?
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, guilty as charged. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. There's nothing better than being in the garage on a Saturday, getting ready for a race, tinkering around. And I like that you called them number plates instead of a license plate, because there's a big difference there, and people get confused on what the difference is.
What's the difference between a number plate and a license plate? I don't know.
I'll let you take that one, Jake.
So a number plate allows the race directors to know who you are.
Okay.
So basically, when you sign up and you apply for your license, you get to choose a number. And, like my number is 94. I was born in 94. So,
okay.
That's a great number. I like it.
The sediment to it, but yeah, in case something happens out on track, they know who you are,
That makes sense. And so do you like swap out that plate in between your race do you drive it home, or do you always trailer that bike? Like you don't street drive it ever?
None of my bikes are street legal.
Okay. Okay. None of them are even legal to drive on. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes for a long haul then, right? When you got to haul these bikes out to Daytona, especially if you're in Northern California, that's a pretty good hike, right?
It's 24 hours. It's one day and 18 hours.
We'll just chalk it up to 2 days. It's like a 2-day commute.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully. I plan on it only being a 2-day drive. Hopefully it doesn't go longer than that. But
yeah.
To have to drive, so that's the thing, is to have to drive that far and then go out and race,
So you're driving, you're the one that's hauling these things.
Yeah, I will be hauling these things.
Okay.
I kind of went privateer. There's just like in F1 and NASCAR, there are big money teams, right? My team is just we're a 2-man team, and we have our local sponsors, right, that chip in, but everything is usually coming out of my pocket, and I don't get a whole lot of support other than the support I create.
Yeah. I mean, to do something that you love though, man, I mean, it's easy to segue into it right now. So I'm kind of gonna lightly, but we could touch on this more later too. But as far as 2022 almost being over, this is our last episode before the new year comes. So 2023 it's right here for us. And so at some point I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about that. Kevin and I, we invest a lot into the production, and that's almost what it takes, is being willing to make the right sacrifices to do something that you love, right? Because you love racing. We love sitting here getting to know people. It's so satisfying. It makes us happy, So it's interesting. Everyone everywhere that's probably pursuing a hobby is dumping funds into this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've dumped so much money into this in time. I mean, it's not even, for me, it's not about the money. It's actually the time part. It takes a lot of time to prepare everything, and all the traveling and stuff takes me away from my family. And, that's more what I care about. So hopefully in 2023, my girls are a little bit older. I'm hoping that they get to travel with me to some of the races. Maybe not Florida, because I don't know if I could drive 2 days with kids in the car, but
yeah.
But that's what I look forward to. And hopefully somebody out there will be like, hey, let's get this guy some support. Looks like he's dedicating a lot to all this, and could get some help.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, just keep showing up, right? I mean, that's the big thing. You're obviously bringing great bikes to the track, compete. You put your heart and soul into it. You're passionate. You want to get your family involved. I mean, that's what's my favorite thing about racing, is just how much the family and friends dynamic is around it, right? That's tremendous. But when you're kind of, towing this thing on your own, that's tough. That's tough to compete at a high level.
Mhm.
You need a team around you, you need sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So,
Right.
as you dial in here to 23, I mean, is that kind of a priority? Are you just, trying to hit the ground running, go out and race and let's just go, full throttle? Of course, that should be the mindset, but sponsorship's got to play into that a little bit, right? To really start putting gas on your motorcycle. What's that look like?
I've been doing a little bit of work on that side. Not too much, because I still, as much as I accomplished in 2022 in the local scene here in California, and being, semi decent in my first couple pro races, I still have to build my name up and go out there and prove that I want to be a winner, that I'm gonna go out there and give it my all, and and let that speak for myself, instead of trying to sell something that I don't have yet, so
I like that.
I do have a couple of good people behind me, to support me. One of them being my teammate, who she's been in racing for, the past 12 years. She's been a pro racer for, 8 of those 12. And, she's got all that kind of the side of it down. And, we're kind of building up something different than what is usually out at the paddock for a motorcycle race weekend.
I like it. No,
Yeah.
I like it, man. That when you can lean on a teammate for sure that obviously has experience, you guys are working under the same umbrella, so to speak. There's so much value that goes into that, because you're both, running the same track, you're bringing similar equipment to the racetrack, and it's like, look, we can help each other grow a little bit here. So that's cool. Because that was gonna be one of my other questions was, do you have any of these teammates? You already answered that for me. So, man, that's exciting. I'm gonna have to start, paying attention a little bit to the series that you're in, because I cover a lot of motorsports. I'm not well versed in the two-wheel world, but I'd like to dive into it. So I think this is a good start.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna help support as well, man. Like, you put some stuff out there, we'll share it. I mean, whenever we can talk to people and really get to know people, and that's what we like about this podcast too. It's like we're kind of doing an interview, but we're really just like talking with folks and like getting to know why you do what you do, like what, how you do it, and like what I love the struggles of how to get there too, like the real shit. Like, yeah, no, it's not always easy. Yeah, I'm gonna wheel my stuff down there. Like, you paint a real picture. So yeah, we'll totally get behind it, and your business partner with that. Subscribe to her stuff. And where can everybody check out all of your like socials and all that? It's and you have a podcast too.
I'm sorry, I broke up a little bit.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, so I was just saying, where can everybody like see your stuff, your business partner stuff, and support your podcast?
So basically all my stuff is on Instagram. Me and Cody are working on a YouTube channel, and
Nice.
so like the Instagram reels are nice and stuff, but we want to do a little bit longer video, more in depth of what I talk about in those reels, right? So like a little more in depth about crashing and equipment, and the cost of it all and what that all looks like, especially for somebody who's starting up, and then my teammate, her name is Shalina Moreta. You could also find her on Instagram. She's a cover girl. She rides for Ducati. She's one of the fastest women, if not the fastest woman in the US right now.
Hell yeah.
Motorcycle world. So she's also a dairy farmer, which is amazing, which that's a whole lot of work in itself. And then on top of that,
Is she just doing cow, or is she doing like goat cheese and stuff too? Like it.
Right now she just started a creamery, so she's making like ice cream. It is. Yeah. I don't think she's dove into the goat cheese yet, but
I know. Like, look, I don't know where people's passions truly lie. If you're talking dairy, there's a lot of things.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, yeah, I mean, everyone's got to have something to fund what they're doing throughout the year, right? Like we touched on, you're out there 27 weekends out of the year. You look at a guy like Ross Chastain over in NASCAR. He's a watermelon farmer in his free time. You know, I mean, that's a family thing. So yeah, I think it's good to bring light to that, because it's like not just a race car or you know, a motorcycle racer. We also do other shit, right? And it's always good to kind of highlight that a little bit,
Yeah.
kind of pull back the layers.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, you know, a lot of people that's what they see is you're a racer. Like,
Yep. Which is cool. I have so much respect for it, man. I love it. I love racing. I know Art can attest to that. I know our viewers can. I fucking love it. So, you know, I'm definitely going to be watching you for sure in 23, but let's shift gears here a little bit, you know, no pun intended, because we like to get to know people a little bit. Let's dive in, Jake. You know, you're a father of 4, right? How do you balance all that with this, you know, racing and all that?
Having a great wife. No, it's yeah, my wife allows me to do all this, you know, the way that she works, and what she works in and the company she works for, allows me to be here at home. You know, I stay with the kids, you know, 3-4 days out of the week, and then, you know, she'll be with the kids, and, you know, we work together on a lot of things, and our kids are homeschooled, which kind of makes it a little more lenient, and being in a schedule, you know, it's like I don't have to get up at 6 a.m. to get these kids ready for school, you know. I still get up at 6 a.m. because I go and that's when I go and do my things, you know. But you know,
so you got like that hour to yourself in the morning.
Right. And, you know, it's I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. It's been difficult for sure. Like, there was a whole lot of
please.
2022,
let's keep it real here, man.
In 2022, you know, it put a whole lot of stress on us, especially because we got married. We just had twins. So it was like I was starting my pro career and planning a wedding and then expecting twins. And that was it was a whole lot. So, you know, hopefully
a lot coming at you at once there.
Yeah, exactly. Next year won't be as much, right? I'm not planning a wedding.
Okay.
I'm not having any more kids. So it was a tough thing to balance. And, you know, we kind of, you know, this off season has given us a way to build a structure that's going to work for us for 2023.
That's terrific. That's what I like to hear for sure. 'Cause that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. You know, it's let alone, you know, being a single guy out there trying to make it in racing, you know, balancing a family with kids and all that. I mean, you're on the road a lot. And so you definitely need a good counterpart that can hold it down with you, of course. And man, tip my hat to you, you know, for getting out here and getting after it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. You certainly allowed yourself to embrace the challenges in life. So I like to talk about this kind of stuff only because I'm always trying to remind myself is to, you know, create a challenging life, like get comfortable, getting uncomfortable sort of thing. Because if you just spend all this time doing nothing, like you do become depressed. Like, I feel like that's the problem in today's society, is how accessible entertainment is, like at our fingertips, and how we're all able to just, like, you know, kill an hour looking at social media or whatever it is, or news, something on a screen, right? But if you actually like challenge yourself and, like, you know, try to meet new people, or excel at like a career, like pick up a new hobby and full send it, like even to get noticed, when you were just going to the track and just having fun, right? Like you were just going to have fun, but you did that consistently enough to where you got noticed from it. So it's like having that consistency and really showing up and like challenging yourself. And sometimes you need to have multiple things to overcome to really like find value in the why we exist question. I guess I'm getting kind of deep on this. I don't really have a point. I'm just kind of rambling right now.
Yeah, go for
it. Yeah. But I mean, it's nuts, man.
I mean, a lot of people, if they were in my situation, you know, they would sell off their motorcycles. They wouldn't even think about starting a motorcycle career, you know?
Yeah.
Too often in the race world, people have kids and they give it up. And I was like, the hell with that. Like, I'm going to show you how you don't have to give it up. Like, you know, it takes clear communication and, you know, like you said, dedication and consistency. And, you know, that's what I'm about. Like,
So how do you silence? Because I know, speaking from experience, that when you're pushing yourself, like you want to try to, like you have to battle yourself a little bit. Like it's like a fight with yourself. Like what have been some of those moments? Like, do you remember like a key moment where like you like kind of committed, like where you were fully committed at this point? Like you were on the fence, but now you're all in, you know?
Yeah. So, January 2021 was, you know, I was doing a race down in Desert Center in Southern California. It's around the border of United States and Mexico. And it was only my second race weekend. And I went down there, didn't know the track, didn't know anything really. I had just completed a 4-day pro camp that my buddy has at a ranch close to where I live in Sonoma County. And so I went down there, you know, didn't know the track, didn't know what to expect. Got out on track, you know, got to know the track, and then it was race time. And I went out there timid, you know, because I just got on track, just learned it like 5 minutes ago. Then there was at one point I was coming down the front straight, and the guy in first was in front of me. And for some reason, I was like, I can beat this dude. I'm going to outbreak him in the first corner. Outbroke him in the first corner, and we battled the rest of the race. And it was a tight battle. Like there was, you know, instances we're bumping into each other. We're not wanting to give up our line. And, you know, I ended up taking it home, and I got my first race win. And I was like, after that weekend, you know, I swept the board that weekend out of 4 races or whatever it was. I was like, damn, okay, I can do this. Like, you know, called my wife. I was like, got my win. Like, I got a couple wins. Like, you know, she was all excited. Yeah. My kids were all excited. And I was like, I can fucking do this. And the team owner is all like, what do you think about going pro this year? Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This was January. Yeah. January 2021.
Yeah, you got it.
And so the team owner was like, what do you think about going pro? And I was like, I don't know about that. He's all like, you got it. Like you got it.
Okay.
And, it was kind of weird. You know, I was going to make my pro debut at Laguna Seca, you know, hometown or like, you know, home state race. But I got a call from the team owner, and he was like, hey, can we go race in Georgia? You want to go race in Georgia? And at this time he was in Europe doing some PR stuff for a leather company. And you know, so like the timing of all this, it was like, I don't know what time it was here. It was probably like 2 a.m. or something. And, you know, and like, it was like a week and a half before the race was going to happen. And like, there's like a deadline to sign up for the race. And he's all like, I need to know now so I can sign you up. And I'm like, can you give me like 10 minutes to think about it? Right. And I didn't even think about it. I called him, like I hung up, and then I called him right back. I was all like, fuck it, let's go. Like,
yeah,
get the tickets, you know? And then ended up like, it was the craziest thing. It was the most fun I ever had, like at a racetrack. You know, going out there and competing against the nation's best. And, you know, a guy who had just been racing for maybe 6-7 months, you know, did 2 race weekends as an amateur in California, and went out there and made my pro debut in Georgia, which is amazing. It was beautiful there. And it was around March. So it was right before it was like super humid or hot or anything. It was perfect. And it was crazy. So that time in that race in January, when I got that first race win, I was all in. Like it was there's no doubt. There's no doubt that this was what I was going to do until I couldn't do it anymore.
I love it. What a great race story. I love hearing
Yeah.
stories like this, man. The passion behind it, you know, going through it, getting scouted, going to the racetrack, and just laying it out there, man. Like when you were talking about battling side by side, taking each other's line away. That's what I love about racing. It's so epic. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to outbreak you into turn one here. What you got? You know, it's props to you, brother. I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just, that's what I love about it, is that, you know, racing is hard. The even harder part about it is the mental game. Like, I mean, riding a motorcycle is hard and going fast, sure, it's hard. But like, those are things you can learn pretty easily, you know. But the hardest part about racing is the mental side of it. It's actually pushing yourself, because this guy's right next to me. We're coming into the first corner, and it's really not about him. It's about you. It's like, how late can you go? How far can you push it? You know, and your brain wants to tell you, your body, that, okay, you need to stop now. And you're like, no, I'm not going to stop now. Right. So I mean, I love that. It's such a challenge, and it's so exhilarating. And when you stick it, it's wow.
Well, I feel like that it could even translate into like anything that you're trying to truly like accomplish. Like, even though racing is super fast and it's like quick, right? And it's like milliseconds. So like that's a whole nother level. But when you're like really committing to something and you're trying to see how much further you can go with it, or, you know, sticking with it all the way through until the end, like, it's easy to like quit, right? It's easy to just like, I don't need you know, it's just that, you know, that's good enough attitude. It's easy to do that. And like, I feel like a lot of people's minds, mine included, wants to do that. And when you can really just grab, you know, the bull by the horns, or grab the bike and turn the throttle, you know, it's just different. Like, life begins to open up beyond that specific thing that you're doing. Even, you know, you start to like apply this like mentality to relationships, or, you know, different careers, or, you know, hobbies, or your health, you know. And it's important to have that challenge.
Basically, what you're saying, Art, is full send.
Yeah, just like
You
full
got
send
full
life.
send. Because if
Just
you're gonna
life, yeah,
Yes.
if you're gonna full send life, if you're gonna outbreak a guy in the corner and go, man, I don't know if this thing's gonna hold in the corner. You know, I like that. I love racing analogies. I use it all the time in life. I'm like, man, we got one lap to go here. What are we gonna do? We got to make a move, right? It applies to our day-to-day life as well. That's kind of the way I like to think. Sports analogies always have hit home with me, especially when we talk racing. So what we do on the racetrack, or I should say what you do on the racetrack, because I'm not a racer, you know, can also translate to some of our life successes, is what you're saying, Art.
Yes. Well, that's what's exciting, because, you know, we get to talk to passionate people. Like, it's easy to see your passion with this, and you have family support, and, you know, people are recognizing your passion. And that's probably why you've even received support, is because you're passionate about it, you know? And I just want to keep chasing that passion in life personally. Like, you know, like what's bringing the passion right now? You know, what makes you feel alive? You got to go chase that. You know, you got to get after that, like, whatever it is. You know, I'm talking to listeners right now. Because, you know, I mean, this scratches the podcast scratches a big itch for me, but there's a lot more to do outside of that I'm constantly trying to push myself on. And, you know, it's difficult to always keep yourself accountable. Like, it's hard sometimes, you know.
For sure. And I mean, I've been there. You know, my pro race at Laguna Seca, it was, I like to think of that weekend as my two-face, because I was running two different classes. One of my classes, on the Kawasaki 400, I was dog shit. Like, nothing was working right on the bike. I didn't feel comfortable, and, you know, I crashed in the middle of a race down the corkscrew. luckily I was able to pick the bike up and finish the race. And that's all I could take from it. Like, fuck, I was pissed. Like, I had been training for so long on that bike for that race, that specific race. And I came up empty handed. But on the other side of that, in the other class on the Super Hooligans on my Ducati, it was a blast. I was out there racing against my friends, people that, push me, and then people who have been racing for years, and to race against them at a legendary track, I was having a blast. And like,
that's
awesome. Come off the racetrack, like, just so happy. And I don't know if it's one of those videos on my Instagram, but we're like popping champagne, me and my teammates, because we're the only Ducati racers in that class. And I was all like, let's celebrate with some champagne. Like, we finished the year, like, let's celebrate. But at the same time, I had that other class that I was like, fuck. I didn't to me, it was like a failed weekend, but
that's how life is, man. Like, why is it like that? Like, life is just, it doesn't, like, you have to like find your wins. Okay. Cause like, I know from experience, I fail almost every single day, pretty much, so it's like, you have to like find your wins. You gotta look for that shit.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was, the fail was the win.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that.
I do too.
Because I needed to get myself through that bullshit. My brain was telling me that you trained for this on this bike. You dedicated so much time, so many hours on this specific bike, and you went out here and you fucking failed. But that was the learning part of it. And that was actually the win, because it drove me mad. Like, it, not like a bad mad, but it drove me crazy to the
like, you obsessed about that for a little bit.
Oh,
it bothered you for a little bit.
I'm still obsessed about it, because it was, I was there. I was at that track for a local race a week and a half before, or 2 weekends before, and I won all my races. So I was hyped. I was like, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna race, and hopefully against these other pros, hopefully be in the top 10. But like, that didn't happen. But at the end of the day, it made me so obsessed that I've been grinding since that day.
Like, do you get a redo on this race? Like, same class, same track anytime soon?
No. Nope.
Oh, maybe you can get back there someday, man.
Unfortunately, I aged out of that class.
Oh,
it's called the Junior Cup, and it's
I see,
between 17 and 28. So
okay,
that was my only race.
So you're too old to do that now, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. But now I just get to hop on a faster, much funner bike.
Okay,
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, one door closes, another opens. Now you get to go full send. Obviously going back to tracks you're familiar with on the circuit. That's what's great too, is returning to a track for a second time. And that's what will be fun about when we, link up with you again a year or so from now and talk about how the 23 season goes is, what have we learned? What did you improve on as you go back to the racetrack? Because I always feel like as a racer, when you go back, and again, I'm just a race fan. I have no race experience, Jake. I just love it. And I've been following it my whole life. But a lot of racers I talk to, when they go back to a track again, and I'm sure you can attest to this, they're like, I'm going to fucking send it through turn 7. I know the chicane. I know the 90-degree right-hander. I'm ready.
So I keep a logbook of all my data acquisitions. And so I had a logbook from the weekend I won races. And then I had the logbook from when I lost and was dog shit. And now I have all that information for when I go back there. I know exactly where my fast sector was, what my slow sector was. And, when I get out on there, I'm instilling that into my brain to know this is where you're slow, and you have to push through that. You have to push through that mental block of this, stop going slow through here, and to most people will be like, you're not going slow. But to me, it's like, if I'm taking turn
There's
one,
a little bit more right
95
there.
miles an hour, that's too slow, you know? Like I need to be.
Yeah, you got to push the bike to its limits for sure. Like, okay, 95 to that sector. Can we do 100? Can we do 105? I mean, I don't know what kind of, sector we're talking about here, but that's where it is, right? Like full send, knowing, okay, I'm confident. I know this track. Will the bike hold through that, right? Pushing it to its limit. That's what I love about racing. I think a lot of people that don't understand racing, Jake, and I know you can probably agree with this. People don't understand racing, they just see it and they're like, okay, yeah, looking at it on TV or spectating, maybe it looks slow, but when you're out there live action and you're feeling those tires chirping, when you're pushing this vehicle or this bike to its limit, you're feeling that. That's what I love about racing. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand.
It's exhilarating. It really is. I mean, when you got torque, you got all that going on, and then there's the risk of crashing, which you've been through, and like, that's being alive. That's being in the moment right there. Because when you're dialed into a race, like it's just you, that machine, and the road, right? Like it's kind of poetic.
No,
I feel like that's kind of poetic.
It is poetic. I mean, there's this sound bit on Instagram. It's like when you read, I think it's from Ford versus Ferrari, right? It's like when you reach 7,000 RPMs, right? For me on a motorcycle, it's more like 14,000 RPMs, but 7,000 RPMs in a car, it's a lot different. It's just this harmonious thing that you're so free in those moments that like nothing else matters really. Like the only thing that matters is this turn I'm coming up to, like and even then it's such a liberating feeling for sure. Like, I mean, I'm an adrenaline junkie, always have been. Like, that's why I race. Like, I have to like go fast, and
must go fast.
Must go fast. Like,
go like hell, baby.
Driving. I mean, like, constantly getting speeding tickets. Like, and I'm like, I drive cars that can't go fast for that reason. Because I just want to go fast. And like, I drive a 1-ton truck, the thing, it has a rev limiter on it. It can only go 90 miles an hour. But
yeah, you bring it to 90.
Full set.
Well, with gas prices here in California, I kind of
this is the moderate way of thinking.
Like
quarter cent
on the truck. But
no, makes sense, dude. I could totally resonate and relate to what you're talking about. It's exhilarating for sure. And I have never competed at a level you have, but being around the sport of racing, I love it so much. And anytime I can race my friends, I mean, Art's going to attest to this amongst our group. I am the racer. Okay, I'm going to take.
He's the best racer. I claim best street driver. It's an ongoing debate.
But we're talking racing now.
We're talking racing. Kevin's the best racer in the group. And I have to, yeah.
And I appreciate you admitting that.
It's not the first time I've admitted.
No, that's true.
The truth is the truth.
The truth is the truth. But and that's where I kind of relate with you a little bit, Jake, because you've actually had on-track experience. You've been out there, and I think for me personally, I love the fact of how can we scrub off another 10th, another 2/10 through this sector. How can we get through this corner a little bit better? How can we arc the vehicle or the motorcycle into the corner to pick up time? That's what I love about the sport of racing, and I think that the outsiders that don't really follow racing just look at it as, oh, well, they're just going fast, turn left, turn right, whatever, however you want to chalk it up. There's so much more to it. And I would encourage everybody that listens to pay a little bit more attention to racing, whether it's MotoGP, motorcycles, NASCAR,
play a
F1, racing game. Like, it's such a beautiful sport, and it's like an adrenaline thing for sure, but there is an art to it. And I think a lot of people look past that because on the outside looking in, when you're watching it on your television or looking at a YouTube video, you're like, nah, they're just driving fast. But man, you've been out there, you've experienced it. You know what it's like to outbrake somebody into the corner. It's epic.
It's you have to have the most trust in your ability and in your machine to go out there and push the limit. And like you said, a lot of people don't understand that. Can you Give me a moment, you two girls.
So probably shows.
Hey.
That's mine.
Okay, okay.
That's beautiful. Nice little family moment there. That's good.
No, somewhere over
Thanks for the cameo.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. That's fun.
Thank you.
He is the racing dad.
The racing dad, yes.
There's two of them. Give me one second.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
do
You're
your
good.
thing, man. Do your thing. We got the camera back on us. I mean, how cool to talk racing. You know how excited I get to do this stuff. Usually MTG is my escape, but I love getting racers on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
like
oh no, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, to have the trust in your machine, in your tires. Like racing in a car, you got 4 tires
Mhm.
and you still lose grip, right? And, cars lose grip because of the tires. What people don't understand on a motorcycle is that tire is round, and when that thing loses grip, it doesn't have much grip either. And for people to be leaned off the bike, dragging their knee, dragging their elbow, some MotoGP riders be dragging their whole shoulder and back, like getting off the bike. Like it's something so intense and so underappreciated for sure that because even for myself, when I used to watch it, they make it look so easy. So it's easy for you to think they just go fast, turn right. But it's so intense and difficult.
I love it, man. You're speaking my language. You get me excited. I want to get out there on K1 speed and go race, because I just love it, man. I love it. That's so cool. And that's why I was kind of asking about your 23 schedule, because I'm like, maybe I can make a visit to one of the racetracks. And I think Texas, Coda, I mean, I've been wanting to get down to Coda for a long time. That might be the track that I come down and watch you race at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is one question that we like to ask all of our guests. And I know we've been talking some motivational stuff, sticking in it and all this stuff today, which is important, but I wanted to hear it straight from you though. So if you can give a piece of advice for humanity, so everyone can be better tomorrow, what would that piece of advice be?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So all the listeners, when Jake gives his piece of advice, so I want you to give a piece of advice so everyone on the planet could be better tomorrow. Like, what would that one piece of advice be to better humanity?
Be more empathetic. Be more understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make the world a better place, understand that you don't understand what that person next to you is going through. Right?
It's true.
We all have our struggles. We all go through our path of lives, and to say you're better than the next person, have some
It's kind of ignorant, right?
Yeah. Have some empathy, have some understanding that, we all go through it. And I feel like that would make a lot of things better for sure. I mean, because there's so much none of that actually, oh, I just went through this, so you don't understand, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, is actually something hard that I've actually had to deal with, all that, having empathy and understanding people and understanding what they're going through. I've been on my own journey with a life coach, building obviously confidence and stuff for racing, but also building empathy and understanding for humanity. And I'm not just, the world don't revolve around me, and it don't revolve around anybody else. We're all here together, and should all be working together to achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve. And that's my piece on that. I guess.
Beautiful.
My piece of advice.
Yeah, good stuff, man. No, that carries a lot of weight for sure. Mastering others is strength, but mastering ourselves is fearless. And, anytime that we can work on ourselves, get better, dial in, what can we do? I'm about it. And having empathy, I think, goes a long way with that, right? Because sometimes folks get caught up in their own world and they don't understand. We all get programmed to say, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? But are you? Do you have empathy for that person? So yeah, I like that, man. That's good. That's good advice to wrap up 2022, I think.
Oh, fantastic advice. And I mean, I've thought that I immediately, the second you started diving into that, I thought of an area in my life where I could apply more empathy immediately. And so it's a good reminder, because we like to ask this question, right? And we talk about it weekly. And generally the advice is not the same, but it has to do about the same thing. And to just care a little bit more and forgive a little bit more can go a long way. So I just want to appreciate you really quick, Jake. I mean, taking out time to hang out with us tonight. Our last guest of 2022. What a fucking year 2022 was. And we're excited to go into 2023. So like everybody who's been with Jake on his racing journey, stay with him. If you're unfamiliar with Jake and what he does, definitely check him out. We will leave all the links for everything in the show notes. We love what you do and your passion behind it, man. And we're just excited to keep this train moving right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Like, what an honor. And thank Cody for setting this up.
Yes.
Cody's a G. Chef,
he's a good guy.
He's amazing.
A good guy. Looking forward to getting him in Denver and getting you in Denver too, man. Anytime you come to Denver, Colorado, our doors are open for you, of course. And it'd be fun to hang out with both you guys if that's even a possibility. But before we wrap this thing up, man, and let you get back to your family duties, any last, words, plugs, anything that you want to, talk about? We'll include in the show notes, of course, down below. Viewers and listeners can listen to. But how do you want to cap this thing off, brother?
If you're passionate about something, go out and chase it. Don't make no excuse not to. I'm living proof of that. I can have every excuse not to go out here and pursue my dream. Like most people will say, oh, I got kids, I got this, I got that. Fuck all that. Get out there and get it done.
Hell yeah.
And that's better off for you and your family, to show your kids that it takes a certain level of dedication to achieve your goals.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So to wrap this up, man, I mean, what great words and inspiration. Everybody out there, go chase it. Be good to yourselves.
You deserve it. And get yourself to a racetrack in 2023. You will not regret it.
That's for sure.